Greetings and salutations, travelers of the internet. Welcome to the Lit Round Table. I'm Anna.
And I'm Joseph, and we'll be your wise or not so wise mentors for today's audio adventure into all things storytelling. And today is episode 3
Of season
3 of the Lit Round Table. And today we're going to talk about it's another favorites episode. We're going to talk about our favorite battle scenes. So, with a couple stipulations, just so we all know what rules we're following here. This is for live action, specifically on screen, but it can be movies or TV. That's fine. And a battle scene, meaning one fighting force versus another fighting force, no one-on-one duels. That would be a totally different topic, which would also be fun.
True story.
But we're not doing that. So this is just battle scenes. Yeah, so that's what we're doing. So since we're kind of reshuffling our stuff, we're going to start with that. But first, before we dive into that, we should mention that the read-along is going to be starting for our new book, which we're going to be doing next week after this episode. So the following week, it'll be the read-along for the new book, which is... You want to say it?
Oh, I can. It's The Republic...
I felt like I was talking a lot.
Okay. It was your pick, and then people voted on your pick, so I thought maybe you would do it. But it's The Republic of Thieves by Scott Lynch, which is the third book in the Gentleman Bastard series, and we are so excited.
I love our boys, Locke and Jean.
Yeah.
They're so good. I'm so ready.
If you have not read any of the Gentleman Bastard books, we have done a read-along of The Lies of Locke Lamora and Red Seas Under Red Skies just finished. So you should, you have to read those two books before you read this one, but highly encouraged because they're so good.
So yeah, if you want to hear our discussion on those books, you can check out those read-alongs. They're all complete and posted on all the places where we are.
Yep.
Yeah, and looking forward to the next one.
Yeah.
So we're going to dive into the topic of our favorite battles. We're doing top 5, and we're going to alternate starting at the bottom at our number 5 picks and then working our way up.
So I'm curious, because this was your topic choice, which I love it. I think we've talked about doing this, and then this is the first time we're actually doing it, which I love it. But how do you determine what makes a good or a bad battle scene?
This is purely personal opinion, and there's some that are in here that are one of them is 100% a nostalgia pick, but it's fine because it's my list.
True.
I'm not
curious.
saying that these are like a definitive list of the best fight scenes ever, and if you challenge me on it, you're wrong, because I know a lot of people will have a lot of different opinions, and there's some movies out there that I'm sure have really awesome battle scenes that I just haven't seen. I have actually never seen Saving Private Ryan, but a lot of people think that D-Day scene is one of the most well done depictions ever. Maybe I would hesitate to call that a favorite battle scene because it's horrific, but and that's another thing I should say. I'm also going off of these are fight scenes battles that I enjoyed watching the most. So I didn't pick things that were like D-Day and Saving Private Ryan because that seems a little dark. But are you reconsidering a pick?
Maybe. I just thought of something else. So in full disclosure, my day was a little hectic, so I have not thought about this nearly as much as you have today. But my number 5, I just thought of another moment or another battle in the same franchise that I think might be up there. But
we'll also have a little blurb of honorable mentions at the end after we go through all 5, just to kind of rattle off some more stuff.
Sure.
So you can swap stuff out, tuck that away for later, whatever you want. Okay, so I will start with my number 5 pick.
Okay.
Which it had to be on the list somewhere. It was my favorite theater experience ever. And that is the fight at the end of Avengers Endgame.
Oh.
the notorious portal scene where all the heroes come back from after they got dusted by Thanos, and they come back and help Captain America fight off his army. We got the Avengers Assemble line. It was so good.
Ooh,
gave me goosebumps.
We should put in here that like heavy spoilers, just maybe.
Oh yeah. So yeah, obviously heavy spoilers for the battles that we're about to describe in these movies, but you know, you should have figured on your way in.
I'm just saying.
No, yeah. If you're surprised that there's spoilers coming, I mean, that's partially your fault. But anyway.
Okay, I'll make sure it's like on the slide or something.
That is my my number 5 pick is going to be Avengers Endgame.
It's a solid choice. I didn't even. So that explains why you were like trying to help me and asked me if I had thought of any of the Marvel stuff, and I was like, nah, nothing rings a bell. Of course, now that you say that, I'm like, oh yeah, that was a great moment, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Just hearing everyone in the theater scream and cheer.
Yeah,
was awesome. It was so good. Yeah. So
no, that's good.
That is my number 5 pick.
Love it.
The rest of mine are definitely, well, 3 of the rest of mine. Okay, 2 of the rest of mine are very predictable, but they're probably on your list too.
I'm sure they are.
2 of them maybe not. I don't know. But okay, so what's your number 5?
So my number 5, this is the one that I was like waffling on. So, but my initial thought was the Battle of Hoth from The Empire Strikes Back. Because I remember just really enjoying watching the like the way that the rebels use the speeders and like cables to trip the AT-ATs. Like, I don't know, something about that as a kid was really fascinating, and I still really enjoy it. And it influenced one of my other picks later, but we'll get to that.
Ah, cool.
So, Battle of Hoth.
I thought about Hoth for my list, but I picked a different Star Wars battle instead, which is actually my number 4 spot.
Okay.
So it segues nicely. Well done.
Haha. We talked about this.
Mine.
No, we didn't.
My number 4 spot is the battle over Coruscant at the very beginning of episode 3. That is my favorite. Yeah, that is my favorite opening to a Star Wars movie ever, I think.
Gosh, I can't even like picture it.
It's just like you see the Venator Star Cruiser like moving in front of like the sun, and it's like super dramatic lighting, and then you see Obi-Wan and Anakin swoop in on their starfighters, and then the music starts.
Yeah.
And then they're like zipping around this crazy intense space fight, and they like cross over the ship, and then it's revealed that there's like this just big huge battle raging over Coruscant, and it's just intense and crazy, and there's spaceships everywhere, explosions everywhere. The music is awesome.
Yeah.
That's my nostalgia pick, because I mean that was just one of those core memories and one of the reasons why I loved Star Wars so much as a kid and still love Star Wars.
Yeah.
But that is my number 4 spot is that one.
Interesting. Do you have any more Star Wars battles on your like main list?
No, I thought about other ones. There will be honorable mentions, but that was I had to pick a Star Wars one, but it's only 5. It's only top 5. So I was like, I'm going to pick the one that is my personal favorite. So yeah, that's my number 4 spot, the battle over Coruscant.
Nice. Well, then I won't share my honorable mentions for Star Wars until we do honorable mentions. But I thought if you weren't going to mention Star Wars again, I was going to throw my other one in there. But I'll hold it.
It's good. We can do the honorables after.
Yeah.
So, what's your number 4 spot?
My number 4 is from The Last Kingdom, and I couldn't even tell you like what season this happens in. It's fairly on in the show because it's when Uhtred, son of Uhtred. Uhtred, son of Uhtred
of Bebbanburg.
He's like been teaching the I don't know, like Alfred's people how to do like the shield wall. And it's that one battle where it's like he's with the Englishmen and they're like doing a shield wall. And it's the thing where they get circled, right? And it seems like all hope
Mm-hmm.
is lost. And of course, they prevail. I
Yeah.
generally like that happens in Game of Thrones at one point, you know, where they all get circled, but it's like the odds
Mm-hmm.
are so impossible. The
Mm-hmm.
numbers are so crazy, but this fight the numbers weren't that crazy. They were pretty evenly matched. It's just that they got circled. Which is the problem.
Yeah.
So, but that whole fight sequence was really intense, and I think that they do a good job in that show of like showing the brutality of battle, but also like the humanity of the characters too. You don't forget
Mm-hmm.
that they're people on both sides, which I appreciate. So
Yeah.
yeah, and also
Yeah,
just
very
like
good.
seeing shield wall stuff is like very cool.
Yeah. That's like almost just its own genre of battle scenes is shield wall versus shield wall. It's very
It's like
it's done a
reverse tug
lot
of
in
war.
like yeah. It's very it's done heavily in like those Viking era
Yeah, well, that's because
shows and movies.
that was their thing.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but you know which battle I'm talking about?
I think so. Yeah.
It's
Is
fairly
it
early
the
on.
one Oh, I might be thinking of a different one. I thought you were thinking of the one where the guy who kind of is a mentor figure for Uhtred who's English.
Uh-huh.
I forget his name. He calls him I can't say it on the podcast. He has a nickname for him.
Uh-huh.
You know who I'm talking about?
Are you talking about the monk?
No.
Oh.
But he was there too.
Mm-hmm.
It's
He
the
was there
one
for all
where
of it, pretty much.
the other English guy bites it.
Oh.
Unfortunately.
I don't know if that's the same fight I'm thinking of or not.
Okay.
But if you're interested in like Viking culture and not in like a Nazi way, but like in a historical way.
Not in a neo-Nazi way, but in a
Yeah.
you're interested in the history
Yeah.
sort of way.
The Last Kingdom is really good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I can't speak to the historical accuracy, but I think it's more historically
it's
accurate than like
fictionalized, but
I think it's more so than the Viking show. I think they called the Vikings call themselves Danes, not
Yeah.
Vikings.
Right.
So
right.
yeah. But no, that's a good pick.
Thank you.
I didn't have anything from the Last Kingdom, but that's a good show with a lot of cool battle scenes.
Yeah.
So
It is. I felt like it needed an honorable mention for sure, or like to be on my list somewhere.
yes, for sure. So you're doing a great job of picking yours to segue well into mine because you were talking about how in Game of Thrones there was that fight where they're like all encircled and like
Is
all
that
hope
one of
is
yours?
lost. Well, that's my number 4 pick.
Oh, okay.
Is
No, your number 3 pick.
oh sorry 3. Okay. Yes, this is 3. The Battle of the Bastards in Game of Thrones.
You like that one?
Which is
that the same one?
yeah.
Okay.
If we're thinking of the same one, well, it's the one where Jon Snow's trying to get Rickon back. That doesn't work out. But then it ends with Ramsay getting killed and the Starks take back Winterfell.
That's not the one I was thinking of.
Oh, okay. Well,
The
it happens in that fight.
The one I was thinking of is like when all the White Walk. Oh no, we are thinking of the same one. Gosh, I haven't seen that last 2 seasons in forever. We're thinking of the same one. I'm so sorry. Carry on.
Okay. So, a lot of cool moments in that fight. Well, it did a really interesting job of portraying just this is the one pick on my list that is a pretty brutal one.
Mm-hmm.
It portrays the brutality of that kind of fight and just the randomness of it, where like you'll be fighting alongside someone and then just like a random arrow comes out of nowhere and takes them out and then they're gone. Like so it was very chaotic, also very claustrophobic when they are being pinned in by the shields and the spears and they're encircled. So it was very brutal, but I thought it was very well done. It not the most realistic. Like Jon Snow should have been dead right at the beginning when like the cavalry hit. But
yeah, the tactical aspects of it are bad.
Yeah, shaky for sure. But it was good TV. It was dramatic. It was entertaining, and it was crazy. And one of the most hated villains in that entire show got killed off at the end, which is we love to see it.
That's true.
We love to see the bad guys
to go for sure.
Yeah, we love to see the bad guys get their comeuppance. We also saw One the Giant have one last hurrah, breaking down the gates
true.
at Winterfell before he gets taken out with all the arrows and stuff.
Yeah.
Which was sad, but I liked him a lot.
Yeah.
The giant guy.
Yeah, me too. He was great.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was my number 3.
Okay. My number 3 is the end battle scene of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Aslan showing up. It's just a good, like,
The music.
The music. Everyone's like, it's just so good. And the White Witch is terrifying.
Yeah.
And Edmund, like, gets to prove that he's totally broken free of her, and Aslan returns.
For Narnia and for Aslan.
Yes, it's just wonderful. So
yeah, that was a well done fight scene.
Yeah, especially considering, like, you know, their primary actors on screen are kids.
Yeah, they did good for their age. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And Tilda Swinton is terrifying. That's the White Witch. She's just excellent.
She has such an ethereal nature about her. In every role she plays, she's like so otherworldly. It's perfect for that role. That was A+ casting for
Agreed.
sure.
I would love to see her as an elf in, like, the Rings of Power or something. But
yeah,
or something.
You know, I love Cate Blanchett. She could have done Galadriel though. I think she could have.
I think she could have, but I think Cate Blanchett was a perfect choice.
Yeah.
I would not trade Cate Blanchett.
I wouldn't change it, but if we lived in a universe where she didn't exist, I would have picked Tilda Swinton. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're very similar in a lot of ways.
Number 2. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was your number 3.
So does that mean we're going to have the same ones for number 2 and number 1?
Probably.
Okay.
You ready?
Should we say number 2 at the same time? And just see what happens?
How about I'll say number 2. Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay.
We'll do countdown.
Okay.
But what if they're not the same though?
And then we'll go to you. Because it's your turn.
What if I say mine and then if it's the same, then we can just talk about it?
No, but I want the fun of, like, seeing if we say the same thing at the same time.
Okay.
And then you can go first. Okay?
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Helm's
Deep.
We're flipped. That's funny.
We are flipped.
Yeah, you go first.
We are inverted. So my number 2 is Helm's Deep, and predictably number 1 is Pelennor Fields. And yours is flipped. So we'll start with Helm's Deep.
For you, yeah.
For my number 2. So it is my favorite, like, castle siege battle scene.
Yeah.
The Uruk-hai are terrifying. It's nighttime. It's raining. It's just so moody, and, like, the stakes are so high and the situation is so dire. It's just the setup for it is perfect, and the execution of it is just really well done. I know the elves weren't supposed to be at Helm's Deep. Whatever, I don't care. It was cool. Like, I forgive it because it's cool. The rule of cool wins. I am glad that Arwen wasn't there though. Yeah. That would have been a little too much. Yeah. But I liked Haldir being there with his elf buddies. Yeah. Yeah, it was just epic. And the scene at the end where Gandalf comes back with Éomer and they swoop down and drive them off into the forest. It's just epic. So good. So good. It could tie with my number 1 for Pelennor Fields, but I put it on my number 2. So yes, that's my 2 pick. So my number 2 then is Pelennor Fields. And the reason, things I love about Pelennor Fields. The Charge of the Rohirrim, beautiful. Theoden's speech, glorious. Éowyn versus the Witch King, yes please. Get it, Queen. Like, she's amazing. Aragorn coming in with the Paths of the Dead peeps. Yes. We want it. We got it. It's wonderful. Do your ghostiness.
And like in the extended edition, the Aemir scream after the battle, like finding Eowyn.
Ooh.
Oh, makes me cry every time.
Yeah.
Like the banter between Legolas and Gimli continuing. So actually, my Hoth pick influences my Pelennor Fields pick because in Hoth we have the spaceships like using cables to trip up the AT-ATs.
Yeah.
But in Pelennor Fields, like they use like ropes to like trip the Oliphaunts. So very similar, like, you know, there's one point where they trip up the Oliphant and that's how they take it out.
No.
Yes. Aemir, it's a spear. They go in with a spear. Yes. Yes.
I mean, Aemir kills the driver with a spear and then it crashes into another one.
They have the whole scene where, okay, it's Eowyn right underneath and she cuts the legs of the...
Oh, yeah.
It's the same thing. It's the same concept, taking out the legs. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, okay, well, you said with ropes. I was like, they never used ropes to take out the Oliphants.
Well,
there's one of them that has the rope across its tusks that it's using to take out the horses.
Well, no. When the rider like falls and it catches the ear and it like pulls the...
Okay, I see.
I was thinking of that as a rope, but like...
Going for the legs as the weak spot on quadrupedal giant creatures. Yes, I see what you mean. Yes.
So I remember watching the Pelennor Fields thing as a kid and being like, it's kind of like Hoth. They're doing the same tactics as Hoth, only with horses instead of spaceships.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. If only those horses could fly.
Yeah. So that's a lot of praise for Pelennor Fields. Maybe it should have been my number one. I do love the Eowyn moment, but that's okay. Yeah. So why is it your number one?
So, Pelennor Fields is my number one pick for all of the reasons you just said.
Okay.
The actual like siege of Minas Tirith is just so cool with like the siege towers, watching Gandalf like rally the defenders.
Yeah.
All the trolls that bust through the gate. You get Grond, the giant wolf battering ram.
See, I didn't even think of that as part of the battles of Pelennor Fields, but it totally is. You're right.
Yeah. And well, it's like the Siege of Minas Tirith / the Battle of Pelennor Fields.
Okay, so you're including both. That makes sense.
Yes, because it's the same army.
Yeah.
That they're trying to defeat, and the Battle of Pelennor Fields happens to try to save Minas Tirith, right? So I'm lumping it all in. The Witch King and Gandalf have their confrontation, which is cool, which was in the extended version. It is cooler in the book, but I'm glad that they at least had something in the movie, in the extended edition, to kind of acknowledge that happens. That was very cool. The Charge the Rohirrim is one of my favorite cinematic moments ever. Yeah. Theoden's speech, they're chanting death.
Yes.
Eowyn is pumped. Merry is pumped. They charge. Their theme plays with that glorious violin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my favorite moment in cinema ever. So very, very cool. Love it. The I am no man moment with Eowyn.
So good.
It's so good, so well earned.
And in the extended edition, they give Mary that moment of like stabbing the Witch King in the back, which is in the book. And I'm like, yes, okay.
That wasn't in the theatrical? How did? I mean, you could be right. I just don't know how they got the Witch King down on his knees.
That I don't know. I just know I remember watching it and being like, "Oh, but Mary helped. Like Mary was a big proponent of that. Like he made a big difference in that whole fight." And then like there's the scene where Pippin finds him, and it's kind of like,
yeah.
But where was he? Because he, like, we know it after watching the extended, like we know what happened. But
yeah.
Anyway,
I'm going off of extended, so
yeah.
It's been so long since I've seen the theatrical. I have no idea what there's. I know some things, but a lot of them blend together now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that moment was super cool. Eowyn's last moment with Theoden is so
good.
Touching. It's even sadder in the book too.
Oh
It talks about like how like where his horse dies it's like a flower bed, and where the fell beast died is like a black scorched earth where nothing grows.
Yeah.
It's so interesting
Yeah.
the way Tolkien writes.
Mm-hmm.
He like chooses to focus on the animal deaths too, with like their mounts and everything.
Yeah.
But movie, the Muma kill, so cool. I just love that
I love how
moment.
you call them Muma kills, and I'm like the Olifants.
Same thing.
I know.
The big elephants.
I know.
Yeah.
Olifant is so fun to say.
Yeah. When they see this huge line of these big war elephants, these Mumakil, and then just a look on Theoden's face of just like, oh,
Sheer terror.
we thought we were winning.
Yeah.
And then they reform. He like makes them reform the line, and they charge again. Just so good. Yeah, so good. So
Yeah.
Aragorn coming with the army of the dead, sweeping everyone
I
away.
couldn't think of what they were called. They were the people from the past of the dead. The Army of the Dead is the correct title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seeing Gimli and Legolas banter more about who's winning with their contest. Yeah, that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So there's just so many reasons why it's my favorite battle sequence from the start of the orc army arriving at Minas Tirith to the end of that army being defeated is probably my favorite overall battle scene. So that's my number one. So tell me why Helm's Deep.
So you've said all the good things about Pelennor Fields. My two like little very minor gripes about Pelennor Fields is like after Eowyn defeats the Witch King in the extended version, they have to face off with the popcorn head guy. And I'm like, she didn't need that. That could have gone to somebody else.
Yeah.
Like literally could have gone to anybody else. This poor girl.
Yeah.
So I felt like that was like picking on her needlessly. Because she's already like done a lot. Why does she have to kill the two big bads in this fight scene?
Yeah.
Like let her go be with her dying uncle. Like that's all I wanted for her. And then the other thing was the like I love the Legolas like acrobatic stuff, but the Oliphant one was just a little too much.
Yeah. They didn't quite go to like the Hobbit levels of ridiculous.
Correct.
I think they hit just as far as they could possibly go. They pushed the envelope straight to the breaking point with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I see what you mean, though.
And we could have seen more Aemir fighting. Like they could have given Popcorn Head to Aemir, because he gets like the short end of the stick, right? Like he's not. They don't actually have him be at Helm's Deep, which I'm going to talk about, for the majority of the fight. But he's at Pelennor Fields the whole time. So we should have gotten ample screen time of him. Like, we got a wonderful moment for Eowyn with the Witch King that was, like, wholly fleshed out and wonderful. And I wish we could have had some of that for Aemir. We see him, like, kind of look freaked out and he takes out a Mumakil, but, like, I wanted to, like, see him fighting, you know?
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. He in his defense, he takes out two with one spear.
You're right. He does.
But no, you're right. He should get more. He should have gotten more.
Like more
we never
hand-to-hand
get to see him
combat.
Yeah, we don't get to see him do like any hand. Maybe a little bit at the Black Gate, if I remember right.
Maybe Karl
just
Urban
a
was
little.
just bad at it, but Aemir canonically is very good at it. But I find it very hard to believe that Karl Urban would not be good at
I don't buy that.
Knocking some helmets off people.
Go watch Judge Dredd and tell me he would be bad at hand-to-hand combat.
Okay, then I don't understand why they didn't give him more time on screen. Except that they were focused on Eowyn. Which, like, I appreciate, because our girl deserves time. But she also deserved time to be with Theoden. And also the black breath of the fight with the Witch King, like, I don't know. They should have given Popcorn Head to somebody else. But anyway, I don't even know that orc's name. We just always have called him Popcorn Head.
Gothmog.
Is it Gothmog? You're right. It is. Okay, so my number one is Helm's Deep. And I'm gonna like do sort of like you did, because simultaneous of that happening is the fight at Isengard with the Ents.
Okay.
Because
I'll allow it.
Thank you.
I wasn't counting Isengard in mind, even in my consideration for Helm's Deep, but they're happening simultaneously.
I wasn't considering the siege of Minas Tirith for Pelennor Fields, so.
but they were in the same location.
But
And it's the same army.
no, but listen to my justification.
Okay.
Because I would argue that it is the same army for both of them in the end. So, but just bear with me, okay? Helm's Deep. I will say that the movie irritated me a little bit that they took the women and children to Helm's Deep because what an unnecessary complication. But like, okay,
yeah,
cinematically, like, raise the stakes, fine, whatever. I'll forgive them. And in the book, Éomer's there the whole time, but I'll forgive them because they give him a very wonderful moment writing it with Gandalf that is just phenomenal. Yeah. And that moment of like, before Gandalf leaves to go find the riders of Rohan, and he tells Aragorn, look for me on the whatever day as the sun rises, like, so good. So amazing. And like, Gandalf the White is riding down the hill, and he's emanating like hope and goodness into this fight. Like, yes.
Yeah.
Here for it. Gives me goosebumps thinking about it. I love it so much.
The sun like perfectly crests over the mountain as they're charging down at the perfect time to blind the orcs at the bottom. Yeah.
And Aragorn remembers like, oh, Gandalf said to look to the east on whatever day as the sun rises. Like, he remembers. And it's beautiful. The tension that they build up, like, as they prepare for this fight between like Legolas and Aragorn, and Legolas thinking we should cut our losses and like get out of here. This is a bad idea. And Aragorn being like, no, we can't just leave these people to die. We have to help them. And like Theoden is so like crippled by anxiety of feeling like they've lost, and Aragorn's like able to rally him to like ride out together. Like, there's so many moments in that whole scene, that whole battle, where it's like, oh my gosh, we are like totally at the end. Like, this is where it all ends, right? And there's just like, we just have to make it one more moment. The Berserker like blowing up part of the wall is like so significant, because that's like the first time that Middle Earth is introduced to pyrotechnics, right? Like, it's their first bomb.
Besides fireworks.
Yeah. Besides fireworks, but it's like their first bomb, right? The elves showing up, like, they're not supposed to be there, but if Éomer can't be there the whole time, like, I'm glad they had some backup.
Yeah.
It should have just been the Dunedain, though. It's fine. Like, they could have had the Grey Company come for that part instead of like just cutting them completely. It's fine.
You're probably right, but I don't remember the Grey Company being at Helm's Deep. I thought they came after that.
They did. They came after that. But I'm saying, like, if they wanted an extra, I guess I understand like why they picked the elves, because we're familiar with the elves, but we weren't that familiar with these elves. Like, we'd seen Haldir before, but you could have just as easily introduced the Grey Company and had it been Elrond's sons, and had like the same amount of like emotional connection with like Aragorn and them, and more connection with like the rest of the Dunedain, right? Like, the Grey Company it would have been great. Yeah. It's fine. I just really love the Grey Company. Okay. I wanted them to have their moment. It's fine. And then like the very end, they note like the Rohirrim it's more in the book that they notice that the trees are moving. And we find out that not only has Gandalf summoned the Riders of Rohan, but he's also summoned Fangorn itself, right? To like come and swallow up and take back like their land. And this is how it ties into Isengard, because the Ents have marched on Isengard, and Ents versus Isengard is so amazing. Like, that whole sequence is so good. Yeah. But it's happening like simultaneously, right? Like, it's like Fangorn is being just as attacked as Rohan, and while like Rohan has a mutual like respect for Fangorn, like, they don't mess with the forest, but they're both being attacked by Isengard, essentially, right? Like, Isengard is tearing down the forest, and Isengard is attacking Helm's Deep.
Yeah.
Do you see how I'm making the connection?
I understand.
Thank you.
I will allow it.
Thank you. And Merry and Pippin throwing rocks at orcs is just from the top of Treebeard is just phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And really the whole ent in Isengard is just
So
good.
for my list, I will keep them separate, but I will include Isengard in my honorable mention list.
Thank you.
Because that is a really, really cool moment in the trilogy.
Oh,
for
and
sure.
they break the dam and they pull.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Release
so good.
the river.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's very cool. Nature reclaiming its property.
Which, like, it
drowning
gets to
out
do that in the same thing, right? They drown the pits of Isengard, and the forest eats the orcs. It doesn't eat them, but it gets rid of the Uruk-hai. It kind of eats them, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. But really, it's the moment of Gandalf coming down the hill that's like...
Yeah, for sure.
So good.
And that music.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's your number one pick.
Mm-hmm.
So honorable mentions, really quick, lightning round honorable mentions.
I just have one.
Okay, you go first.
I mean,
then. What's your
I know
honorable
that
mention?
there are more, but like
right. For now, you'll probably agree with my list.
Yes, but the fight at Jabba's barge, when I'm counting it because it's multiple people, and the fact that
for sure. Counts.
Leia gets to take out Jabba. Yes.
Yeah.
She earned that.
Every time anyone mentions the sail barge fight, I just think of Boba Fett flying through the air and smacking into the side of the barge.
I mean,
and just...
not a great moment for Boba Fett.
Yeah. What a chump.
Yeah. Or like when Lando is like being pulled into the pit of Sarlacc and Han's trying to free him and like Han can't see and like that whole thing is great. Mm-hmm. Luke whipping out the lightsaber, like pulling it to him with the Force. It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
But really it's the Leia moment that does it for me.
Mm-hmm. So for my honorable mentions, I'm going to go with the Battle of Endor.
Oh, yeah.
Man-eating teddy bears taking out stormtroopers. Perfect. Hoth, which you mentioned. Mm-hmm. Excellent. And I'll also give one to the Battle of Yavin, like all the X-Wings versus the TIE Fighters to take the Death Star out.
Yeah.
That was cool. But honestly, though, I think that the fight in Rogue One over Scarif with, like, the Star Destroyers, like the one Star Destroyer gets rammed into another Star... Like, that fight might honestly be cooler, but you get the Death Star exploding in the Yavin one, so I'm sticking with that.
Yeah.
There's lots of battles in the prequels, like... the Gungans versus the battle droids, and there's
that one's fun.
The Geonosis fight where the clones show up and all the Jedi are there. Kashyyyk is cool, the Wookiee planet. You only catch little glimpses of that, but there's a ton of fights or battle scenes in the prequels. But that's enough of Star Wars. So I already said I was going to put Isengard on, so that gets a spot. I'm also going to count the Mines of Moria because the Fellowship is like 9 people. So versus the goblins when they come in and try to take him out in Balin's tomb.
Yes, I wasn't thinking of that as like a battle per se, but I agree that it's a good fight for sure.
Or if not that one, then
no, I think it
Aemon
counts.
Hen.
I just hadn't thought about it. Aemon Hen is great too. Oh my gosh, Boromir and Aemon Hen. Makes me cry.
Honorable mentions for all that.
No Hobbit movies.
I wanted to. No, I want. No.
Yeah. I
did want to give a shout out to the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, and I'm gonna go with like that last the Black Pearl versus the Flying Dutchman in the third one. That's very cool.
Where they're like going when they're in the
around the whirlpool.
The title
and then
thing? Yeah.
And then they both team up to sink Beckett's ship at the end.
So
I mean,
long.
it's so extra and just like absurd. None of it is practical.
Yeah, by so long, I didn't mean that it was so long. I meant like so long, Beckett. Bye.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah.
It's the worst. Oh, we could do like I know we've done our favorite villains, but we could do our most hated villains, like the ones that like you hate
Yeah.
so much that you can't even like them at all. You just hate them.
I did, since we're on the naval battles, I really like Master and Commander with Russell Crowe. The last fight against the Acheron in that movie is very cool. And it seems like a pretty accurate depiction of like naval warfare. Also, shout out to the first fight scene in Gladiator, which is also Russell Crowe, with the Roman legion against the Germanic tribes, and they unleash hell on the tribesmen, and they've got like the flaming catapults and stuff. Super cool. There's a lot of battle scenes and there's a lot of battle scenes in movies. So those are all things that I was like trying to toss around in my head for like what is going to make it on my list. But
yeah, you thought about it a lot longer than I did. There's also like a really great battle scene in the King Arthur movie with Keira Knightley.
Oh yeah. Princess of Thieves.
No, I mean
That's what
King
it's
Arthur.
called, right?
No, I mean like the actual.
Oh, King Arthur, not Robin Hood. Sorry.
Yeah. But that's also a good movie. I haven't seen that in forever. Very Disney Channel take on Robin Hood.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, this is the one where she's got like the blue paint.
Is this the King Arthur that has the guy from Hannibal?
Yeah, it has Mads
I
Mikkelsen
forget
in
his
it.
name. Yes, that's him.
Yeah, he's
It's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
it's really good. I have it. We should watch it sometime. I feel like the Black Gate should get honorable mention. Battle of the Black Gate.
Yeah, you're right. The Battle of the Black Gate should.
Like if you start before the Mouth of Sauron comes out, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
That whole sequence.
yeah.
Get him.
A movie that I completely forgot about until I was thinking about this today. You're gonna freak out with nostalgia as soon as I mention it. Ivanhoe.
Wow.
There's a really cool castle like battle in Ivanhoe with John Rhys Davies as a knight defending a castle.
Yes.
Yeah, very cool.
Oh, for that matter, Robin Hood with Errol Flynn.
Oh yeah, like when for sure. Yeah, like when they all crash
The castle.
the banquet in Nottingham and
Yes.
Sir Guy of Gisborne versus Robin Hood and all the merry men are fighting the people inside. Yeah, great. With King Richard.
Yes. Yes. So good.
Great time.
And I'm sure
I
there's.
want to watch that movie now.
I know. I'm sure there's moments in Stargate 2 and Star Trek that I'm just not thinking of that. But that's hard because it's like Star Trek is hard because it's like ship versus ship, so it doesn't feel like it's big ship versus big ship most of the time.
There's a lot of people on the ship. I'd count it.
But
you know.
Yeah, but it's not. It's like one person pushing the button. But Stargate.
So it only
sure.
counts if there's multiple ships in the engagement. Then it counts.
I would think so.
I will,
for our criteria.
Yeah, that's fine. No, I'm saying that that's a fine thing to say.
Yeah.
I would choose the battle in Antarctica when Anubis is attacking Earth and all of the Anubis ships clash with the new like Earth X-302s or whatever they're called, like the Earth gliders that they made.
Yeah.
That was my favorite moment in that show, I think.
Sure. There's a lot there, I don't know. It doesn't feel like they're not battles like what we've been talking about though for the most part.
Yeah.
They're more like little faction against big bad.
Yeah.
Trying to be covert most of the time.
I'm going to mention it even though neither of us grew up as Potterheads. But the Battle of Hogwarts would be on someone's list and probably deserves the honorable mention list. It's a 8-movie franchise and that was its climax, and it was a cool battle scene from like because I've seen it, but I just didn't grow up with it, so it didn't make it onto my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, so lots of honorable mentions, lots of really awesome battle scenes, but I stand by our picks.
I agree. I'm glad that we didn't have any that were like we had like duplicates, but they weren't the same placement. Yeah. So.
Our lists were both totally different in terms of like what was in what place, for sure. So, yeah. Anyway, so to wrap things up, let's quickly do our roundup of what stories we are enjoying currently.
Yes, let's do it.
Would you like to start?
Sure.
And then I can wrap it up.
Sure. I'm going to start with what I'm reading. So I started reading Castle in the Air by... Oh, it'll be in the description, guys. I'm going to have a hard time with author names right now. But it's the same writer as Howl's Moving Castle. It's the sequel. It's really interesting. It's... So far, I have like a few more issues with it, but that's fine. Also reading Show Me a Sign, which is a really good like middle grade YA book about there was an island up by Nova Scotia that there's something in the genetics where 50% of the people were hearing and 50% were not. Like it was pretty evenly split. So everybody on the island knew sign language. And so like that was just very normal. And we're reading it for like disability visibility, right? And the book is so good. It's set
like
in,
just the concept is interesting.
Yeah, it's set in like the 1700s, right? So, and there's indigenous people on the island as well. And so like you get into some of that conversation, which is really fascinating. It's so good. I'm going to like recommend it to people all the time. I really love it a lot.
What was it called again? What was the title?
Show Me a Sign.
Show Me a Sign. Cool.
And the author name will be in the description, but it's really good. And also read Ancestor Approved, which is it's a collection of short stories by indigenous writers. And they're all like, all these stories are centered around a powwow that happens in Michigan. It's very famous. And it's so good. Like it's just, you know what, you guys? I cannot stress enough how important it is to read books about people that are not like you.
Yeah.
It is so valuable.
Makes you a well-rounded, well-cultured individual.
Yes. It's been so eye-opening. And we've been reading a ton of great books in class. So, but those are my two that I'm going to shout out for class. Because I have read a lot. I'm making myself pick two. And then for reading, we're also going to be starting The Republic of Thieves. I was starting to draw a blank on what it's called, but that's the name of our next read along. So that's all I've got for reading right now. For watching, my dude, I watched a show called Katla.
Haven't heard of it.
Yeah. I saw like a clip of it on TikTok and I was so fascinated because it's set in Iceland, I believe.
Okay.
And Katla is the name of a volcano, like a very famous volcano, active volcano in Iceland. And so it's set like during, like right after a major eruption a year later, and these people start showing up covered in like ash and clay. And like they come out of the volcano.
Ooh.
And it's so eerie, and it's made by an Icelandic film company. And so like the pacing of the story is a little different than what you might expect from like an American version of the show. And I watched it dubbed. I didn't realize that you could watch it in Icelandic originally. But I watched it dubbed because I didn't know. And also I was multitasking as I normally do. But I want you to watch it so bad because I want to talk about it. So you need to watch it. It's so good.
Where did you watch it?
Netflix. And it's only like 11 episodes. Like it's not a huge time commitment. And it's very good. Like, oh my gosh.
If I watch that one, I will make you watch one that's a similar vein.
Okay.
It's the show that it's a Netflix show, but it was shot in Norway about it might be called Ragnarok. It's like about Thor and Loki in like modern time, in like modern reincarnations of the characters.
Yeah. Is it live action or is it animated?
It is live action, and
Okay.
you can choose to watch it in Norwegian or dubbed in English. But
Nice. Nice. Okay. Ditto.
yes,
We'll do
it's
it.
cool.
I also watched an anime called Gymnastics Samurai, which was like a total change of pace, and it was like Yuri on Ice meets Skate the Infinity, but like there's a dad and daughter combo that's so cute. It's really good, and the intro is cute, like Jujutsu Kaisen's first intro and outro.
Oh,
The outro, I mean,
I love
the
that intro
the poppy,
so much.
like it's color pop,
Oh,
whatever
yeah,
you know
in the
what I'm talking
outro.
about.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So highly recommend that. It's also only like 11 episodes, and it like finishes like it's a complete story.
Nice.
Watching The Last
Love
of
it.
Us. Episode 8
Oof.
was a lot. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oof.
Campaign 3 of Critical Role. New episode tonight. I'm so excited. The Apogee Solstice is happening, and I can't wait. Attack on Titan had their like 2 hour. I don't know. Was it 2 hours? It was long.
I think it was an hour.
Was it just an hour? Maybe it was. It was good though.
Yeah.
Definitely got super emotional.
Same.
It was really good. My Hero Academia, also been really good. Fate Stay Night we're watching together. The Mandalorian. I watched the first episode. I haven't watched the second episode yet. And I think that's all I'm watching, which is a lot. But a couple of these were binges, right? Like I just watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
done. So, what about
Since
you?
you finished campaign 2 of Critical Role, you've got more
I
time.
have so much time. Also, I'm
To do
reading
more
a lot for
schoolwork.
class. Yes.
Yeah.
But
All right. I will start with my watch list. I'm watching a lot of the same things. There's only one thing that's different. But Critical Role Campaign 3, Attack on Titan, Fate Stay Night, My Hero Academia. I am also watching The Bad Batch as that comes out, and the last episode was actually really good because it focused more on Crosshair and kind of his current internal struggle with the Empire. So that's been really interesting to see. Also watching The Mandalorian, and The Last of Us. So reading, I finished Before They Are Hanged, the second book in the First Law trilogy.
Did you really?
And I am like halfway through the third one.
okay, so you're saying I should read them.
They're very good.
Okay.
They're very good. The third one is called The Last Argument of Kings, and I'm like halfway through it. Man, some crazy stuff has gone down, and it's been a roller coaster. Yes, I would highly suggest. Do you have all three?
No, I just bought the first one.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you
but
bought
I
because
need-
I got them in like the group bundle. But
Yeah, you got them as a present.
I did.
So,
Yeah.
no, I just bought the first one of that. I bought all of the Lies of Locke Lamora. I'm not sure why, except that I know I did that with the Lies of Locke Lamora because I wanted the specific size, and
Right.
The mass market paperback was more common. But with the blade itself in that series, the bigger version is more common. So I wasn't worried about
Right.
not being able to get them. At the
I don't think
size
I've
I wanted.
ever seen a smaller
Right,
mass market version of that. I think it's just that bigger version,
right.
to be honest. Anyway, that's been really, really fun. It's been a really enjoyable read.
Nice.
So that's been good. We're starting the Republic of Thieves soon. Haven't started it yet, but next week. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for my reading. I've been reading a lot of The Last Argument of Kings. For playing, we are still playing D&D. We're actually going to play some D&D this evening,
Nice.
which is sad. I'm going to miss Critical Role probably, but so don't spoil anything for me. Don't
Okay.
text me. I don't want to hear it.
Okay, not a
But-
word.
I'll be having my own D&D experience. So, still playing D&D. Also, still playing Elden Ring, making great progress. Yeah, I'm hoping to beat that game sometime soon so I can move on to other things. But, I mean, it's really, really fun, though. I'm not like, oh, I need to get this over with. It's a really fun game. There's a reason it won Game of the Year. Also, been playing It Takes Two, which is a fun co-op game that Hope and I were... Did she buy it or was it the gift? I don't remember. It's a 2-player game, couch co-op that Hope and I have been playing. It's like a puzzle-solving game, and that's been really fun and entertaining.
Nice.
Mostly us like accidentally killing each other in comical, ridiculous ways. It's been great, and also a game that I hope to play soon that I got for my birthday from
It's not your birthday yet.
Sam and Sarah, but they gave me my gift early at a family gathering, and that was Tiny Epic Vikings. I know, I'm pumped. I was reading through some of the rules, and it looks cool, so I'm excited to play that.
Play that when I'm down there in May.
That'd be fun.
That would be really fun.
So I'm looking forward to playing that in the near future. Yeah. So yeah, that's it for my playing list.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Love it.
Yeah. Very good. Well, that's it for episode 3 then.
Cool.
Yeah. So, thank you for listening. If you made it this far, congratulations. You're part of the super secret, top secret club. No, you're not. I'm just kidding.
So this is just our regular episode, my dude.
Yeah, if you want to be a part of the super secret, top secret club, go become a member of our Patreon.
Yes.
And you can get bonus content.
Yes. But we love having you here. Thank you for watching.
Yes. Cool. And until next time, go read something cool.
And we'll talk to you next time.
Later.
Bye.